You have the power to change your life, and the best part is, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to do it. Right now is the moment to take charge, to reinvent yourself, and to step into the version of yourself you've always known was possible. It doesn't matter where you've been or how stuck you feel. What matters is that you can start today, and I'm here to show you exactly how. In this book, we're going to dig deep into the process of real transformation. Reinvention isn't about some overnight miracle. It's about consistent, purposeful action, making small but powerful changes that compound into something extraordinary. I'm not going to promise it will be easy, but I will promise that it will be worth it. Every step you take will bring you closer to the person you're meant to be. You'll learn practical strategies for breaking old patterns, setting meaningful goals, and building habits that stick. More importantly, you'll uncover the mindset that fuels lasting change and helps you push forward when life gets tough. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about taking control and creating a life that excites you. Every chapter of this book is designed to empower you. You'll discover exactly how to move past self-doubt, tap into your strengths, and transform setbacks into powerful lessons. Reinvention doesn't mean being someone else. It means becoming the best version of yourself. So if you're ready to stop playing small, if you're ready to take your life to the next level, keep reading. This is your moment to start a new chapter. Reinvention begins now, and it starts with you. Let's make it happen. Chapter 1. Embracing the journey of reinvention. Reinvention isn't just about change, it's about reclaiming your life and stepping into the person you were always meant to be. Think about that for a second. How often do we settle for less because we're afraid to ask for more? How often do we ignore that nagging feeling deep inside that says, you're meant for something greater? The truth is, we all have the power to rewrite our stories. And today, you're starting a new chapter. This journey begins with a decision to stop living on autopilot and start living intentionally. It's not an easy choice, but it's one of the most empowering decisions you'll ever make. Reinvention is about growth, evolution, and stepping outside the walls you've built around yourself. It's about becoming the person you see in your quietest, most honest moments, the person who's bold, fulfilled, and unapologetically authentic. Let's start by acknowledging that life isn't static. It's constantly moving, shifting, and evolving. And yet so many of us cling to the past, to outdated versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. Maybe it's because the past feels safe, or maybe it's because change feels overwhelming. Whatever the reason, staying stuck won't lead to happiness. Reinvention is your chance to break free from that cycle. It's your chance to take control and design a life that feels true to who you are. So how do you know it's time for reinvention? Take a moment to reflect. Are you truly happy with where you are? Do you wake up each day feeling energized and excited about the possibilities ahead? Or do you feel like you're just going through the motions, waiting for anything to change? If you're feeling stuck, unfulfilled, or disconnected from your purpose, that's your inner voice telling you it's time for a shift. I get it. The idea of reinvention can be scary. Change always comes with a certain amount of fear. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I don't know where to start? These are all valid questions, but let me tell you something. Fear isn't the enemy. In fact, fear is often a sign that you're on the right path. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you face uncertainty with courage and take that first step into the unknown. Now, let's address the fear of failure. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably more times than you can imagine. But they didn't let failure stop them. They used it as a learning opportunity, a stepping stone to something greater. When you reframe failure as a natural and necessary part of growth, it loses its power over you. Another common fear is the fear of judgment. Let's be honest, people are going to have opinions no matter what you do. But here's the thing, their opinions don't define you. You don't need anyone's approval to live a life that feels right to you. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. So let go of the need to please others and focus on what makes you happy. If you're not sure where to start, begin with self-awareness. Take a good, honest look at your life. What's working? What's not? What are the habits, beliefs, or patterns that are holding you back? This isn't about blaming yourself or anyone else. It's about understanding your starting point so you can move forward with clarity. Self-awareness is the foundation of reinvention. Without it, you're just guessing at what needs to change. Once you've identified the areas of your life that need attention, the next step is to set an intention. What do you want to achieve through this process? Maybe you want to improve your health, deepen your relationships, or pursue a career that aligns with your passions. Whatever it is, get clear on your why. Your intention will serve as your guiding light, keeping you focused and motivated when things get tough. Remember, reinvention doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, not a destination. And like any journey, it's made up of small, consistent steps. Start with one change at a time. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to exercise, or spending 15 minutes a day learning a new skill. These small actions may not seem like much, but they add up over time. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. It's also important to surround yourself with the right people. Change can be challenging, and having a support system can make all the difference. Seek out friends, mentors, or communities that inspire and encourage you. Share your goals with them and lean on them when you need support. And don't forget to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they may seem. Every step forward is a step worth celebrating. As you embark on this journey, keep this in mind. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you really are. It's about shedding the layers of doubt, fear, and limitation that have been holding you back. It's about stepping into your authenticity and living a life that feels aligned with your values and dreams. This is your time, your moment, your opportunity to create a life that excites and fulfills you. So take that first step, no matter how small it may seem. Trust yourself. Believe in your ability to grow and adapt. And remember, the best is yet to come. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into self-discovery, the process of looking inward to uncover who you are and what you truly want. But for now, take a moment to appreciate the fact that you're here, ready to embrace this journey of reinvention. That in itself is a powerful act of courage. Chapter 2. Self-discovery, looking inward. The most profound journey you will ever take is the one inward into yourself. Think about it. How can you truly reinvent yourself if you don't know who you are in the first place? Self-discovery is the foundation for everything: your decisions, your relationships, your dreams. It's not about chasing perfection or fixing yourself. It's about understanding who you are at your core and embracing it fully. This is where true transformation begins. For most of us, life moves so fast that we rarely stop to reflect. We're caught up in the noise, the expectations, and the demands of the world around us. But when was the last time you sat down, uninterrupted, and truly asked yourself, what do I believe in? What do I stand for? What lights me up? These aren't just abstract questions. The answers to them shape the direction of your life. Self-discovery is about peeling back the layers and uncovering the authentic you that may have been hidden for years beneath responsibilities, fear, or societal expectations. A powerful way to start this process is through reflection. Now, reflection isn't just thinking about your life for a few minutes while you're driving to work or waiting in line. It's about intentionally creating space to explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Find a quiet spot where you feel at ease, grab a journal, and just start writing. Don't overthink it. Write what comes to mind, even if it feels messy or insignificant. The act of putting your thoughts on paper helps you process them in a way that's impossible to do when they're swirling around in your head. If you're not sure where to start, ask yourself questions that go deeper than the surface. What makes me feel alive? When do I feel most like myself? What are the moments in my life that I'm most proud of? These questions aren't meant to be answered in 5 minutes. Let them sit with you. Explore them over time. The goal is to uncover patterns and truths about yourself that you may not have noticed before. Another incredible tool for self-discovery is meditation. Now, I know meditation can feel intimidating if you've never done it before, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, and it will just gently bring it back to your breath. Meditation isn't about stopping your thoughts. It's about noticing them without attachment. Over time, this practice helps you tune out the noise and connect with your inner self. It's in these moments of stillness that you'll often find the clarity you've been seeking. As you go deeper into self-discovery, it's essential to identify your core values. These are the principles and beliefs that matter most to you, the things that guide your decisions and give your life meaning. Without a clear understanding of your values, it's easy to feel lost or to make choices that don't align with who you are. Take some time to think about what's truly important to you. Is it honesty, growth, connection, freedom? Once you've identified your values, write them down and use them as a compass for your life. When you align your actions with your values, you'll feel a sense of fulfillment that can't be found anywhere else. Self-discovery also involves taking a hard look at your strengths and weaknesses. This isn't about beating yourself up or inflating your ego. It's about understanding where you shine and where you have room to grow. Think about the things you've always been naturally good at. Maybe you have a talent for connecting with people, or you're great at problem solving, or you have a creative streak that's uniquely yours. Celebrate those strengths. They're part of what makes you you. At the same time, acknowledge the areas where you struggle. This isn't about labeling yourself as not good enough. It's about identifying opportunities for growth. For example, if you tend to procrastinate, that's not a flaw. It's a chance to develop better time management skills. If you struggle with self-doubt, it's an opportunity to build your confidence. When you view your weaknesses as growth opportunities instead of limitations, you'll start to see them in a whole new light. During this journey of self-discovery, be prepared to confront some uncomfortable truths. You may realize that you've been living a life that's not truly yours, that your choices have been driven by what others expect of you rather than what you want for yourself. This can be a tough realization, but it's also incredibly liberating. When you stop living for others and start living for yourself, you'll feel a sense of freedom and authenticity that's unlike anything else. It's also important to remember that self-discovery isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that evolves as you do. Who you are today may not be who you are 5 years from now, and that's okay. In fact, it's a good thing. Growth and change are signs that you're alive and engaged with life. Embrace the journey and be open to what you learn along the way. As you wrap up this chapter, I want you to take a moment to appreciate yourself for being here, for showing up, and for being willing to do the work of self-discovery. This is not an easy path, but it's one of the most rewarding paths you can take. By looking inward and uncovering who you truly are, You're laying the foundation for a life that's authentic, fulfilling, and uniquely yours. And that, my friend, is a beautiful thing. Chapter 3. Defining your vision. The life you dream of won't come to you by accident. It starts with a vision so clear that it ignites something deep inside you. Have you ever stopped and thought about what your ideal life actually looks like? Not the version you think you're supposed to want, but the one that feels right to your soul. That vision is the roadmap to who you're meant to become, and the sooner you define it, the sooner you can start building it. Here's the truth. Most people wander through life without ever truly deciding what they want. They settle into routines, follow the paths laid out for them by others, and wake up one day wondering why they feel unfulfilled. But that doesn't have to be your story. You have the power to decide right now what kind of life you want to live. The challenge is daring to dream big and believe that you're capable of achieving it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your future self living the life you've always wanted. Picture where you are, who's with you, what you're doing. What does your day look like? What kind of work excites you? What brings you joy and peace? Don't hold back. Let your imagination run wild. This isn't about being realistic or practical. It's about tapping into your deepest desires and creating a vision that truly excites you. If it doesn't make your heart race a little, it's not big enough. This vision is more than just a daydream. It's a blueprint for your future. But let's get real. It's not going to manifest by itself. Turning that vision into reality requires intention and action. The first step is writing it down. There's something powerful about putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and describing your ideal life in vivid detail. It's as if you're telling the universe, this is what I want, and I'm ready to work for it. Once you've captured your vision in words, break it down further. Think about the key elements of your ideal life. Maybe it's having a career that allows you to make a difference. Maybe it's financial freedom, meaningful relationships, or vibrant health. Whatever it is, be specific. Don't just say, I want to be happy. Ask yourself, what does happiness look like for me? What experiences, people, or achievements would bring me that feeling? Now, here's where things get even more exciting. You're going to make this vision tangible. If you've never created a vision board before, this is your chance to get creative and have some fun. A vision board is a visual representation of your goals and dreams. Find images, quotes, or symbols that represent the life you want to create and arrange them in a way that inspires you. Maybe it's photos of places you want to travel, pictures of your dream home, or words that capture how you want to feel every day. Keep it somewhere you'll see often, a reminder of what you're working toward. But don't stop there. The real magic happens when you start living as though your vision is already unfolding. This doesn't mean pretending you're something you're not. It means aligning your daily choices with the person you want to become. If your vision includes being healthy and energetic, start making small changes in your diet or exercise routine. If it involves a thriving business, invest time in learning and taking steps toward that goal. Every action, no matter how small, moves you closer to your ideal life. One of the most common obstacles people face when defining their vision is self-doubt. You might be thinking, this sounds great, but I don't know if I'm capable of achieving it. Let me remind you of something. The version of you who achieves those dreams is already inside you. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You just need to trust the process and take it one step at a time. Remember, no one starts out knowing exactly how to reach their vision. The path reveals itself as you move forward. It's also important to recognize that your vision may evolve over time. That's perfectly okay. Growth and change are natural parts of the journey. The key is staying connected to what feels authentic and meaningful to you, even as your circumstances shift. Don't be afraid to revisit your vision regularly, refine it, and make adjustments. This isn't about being rigid, it's about staying true to yourself. As you embark on this journey of defining and pursuing your vision, don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. Every step you take toward your ideal life is a victory. It's easy to get caught up in thinking you'll only be happy when you've achieved the big goal, but the truth is, joy comes from progress, not just the destination. Take time to appreciate how far you've come and acknowledge the growth you're experiencing. Most importantly, don't wait for permission to start creating the life you want. You don't need anyone else's approval or validation. This is your journey, your vision, your life. Be bold enough to claim it. The world needs more people who are willing to live authentically and pursue their dreams with courage and passion. And that includes you. So, as you close this chapter, I challenge you to take the first step. Set aside time this week to write down your vision and create a plan to make it a reality. Let yourself dream without limits, and don't be afraid to take that leap of faith. You have everything you need within you to build the life you've always wanted. The question is, are you ready to begin? Chapter 4: Setting Meaningful Goals. The difference between a dream and a goal is simple. A goal has a plan. Without that plan, even the best intentions can drift away, leaving you feeling stuck in the same place, year after year. If you're serious about reinventing yourself and building the life you deserve, you have to set goals that move you forward with purpose. But here's the thing, those goals can't just sound good on paper. They need to mean something to you, something so personal and powerful that they pull you toward them, even on the hardest days. Let's talk about what it really means to set meaningful goals. It's not just about deciding what you want, it's about deciding why you want it. That why is the fuel that keeps you going when obstacles show up, and they always do. Too often, people set goals based on what they think they should want. Maybe they chase a certain job, a specific income level, or a particular lifestyle because it seems impressive or because they think it'll make others happy. But let me ask you, what happens when you achieve that goal and realize it doesn't truly satisfy you? That's why your goals have to come from within, from a place of honesty about what really matters to you. Start by asking yourself, what kind of life do I want to create? Not the life others expect of you, but the one that feels aligned with your values and your vision for the future. If you're not sure what that looks like, think about the moments when you felt the most alive, the most fulfilled. What were you doing? Who were you with? What kind of energy surrounded you? Those are clues to the kind of goals that will truly matter to you. Once you've got a sense of what you want, it's time to get specific. Vague goals like "I want to be successful" or "I want to be happier" aren't enough. You need to break them down into something tangible, something you can actually work toward. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," decide what that looks like. Maybe it means running your first 5K, eating more whole foods, or meditating for 10 minutes a day. Instead of saying, "I want to grow my career," think about what that actually means for you. Is it landing a promotion, starting your own business, or learning a new skill that will open doors? The more specific you are, the clearer your path becomes. Now let's talk about timelines. Every meaningful goal needs a deadline. It gives you something to aim for and creates a sense of urgency. Without a timeline, it's too easy to procrastinate, to tell yourself you'll get to it someday. But someday isn't on the calendar. Be realistic about how much time you'll need, but don't give yourself so much room that you lose momentum. A goal with a clear deadline keeps you focused and moving forward. Here's another important piece. Break your goals into smaller steps. Big goals can feel overwhelming, like staring up at a mountain and wondering how you'll ever make it to the top. But every mountain is climbed one step at a time. Instead of fixating on the end result, focus on the next step in front of you. If your goal is to write a book, start with the outline. If your goal is to save a certain amount of money, create a monthly budget and decide how much you'll set aside each week. Progress, no matter how small, builds momentum. And that momentum is what carries you closer to the life you're working for. Accountability is another game changer when it comes to achieving your goals. Share your goals with someone you trust, someone who will support you and hold you accountable. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even a mentor. When you know someone else is cheering you on and checking in on your progress, it's harder to give up. You don't have to go through this journey alone. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and remind you of what you're capable of when you start to doubt yourself. But let's not sugarcoat this. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, when progress is slow and you're tempted to throw in the towel. Those are the moments when your why becomes your anchor. Go back to the reason you set this goal in the first place. Visualize the life you're working toward and remind yourself of why it matters so much. Success isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up every time you do. You also have to be willing to adjust as you go. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes the path to your goals will look different than you imagined. That's okay. Flexibility isn't a weakness, it's a strength. As long as you're still moving toward your vision, it doesn't matter if the route changes along the way. Be open to learning, adapting, and growing through the process. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small they seem. Every step forward is proof that you're capable of creating the life you want. Too often, we focus on how far we still have to go and forget to acknowledge how far we've already come. Take a moment to recognize your progress and let it motivate you to keep going. At the end of the day, setting meaningful goals isn't just about achieving something external. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up for themselves, who takes action even when it's hard, and who refuses to settle for anything less than a life they love. That's the real reward of goal setting, not just what you accomplish, but who you become in the process. So what's your next step? What's the one goal you can start working on today that will bring you closer to the person you want to be? Don't overthink it, just start. Take one small, deliberate step toward your future. You've got this. And the best part, you're just getting started. Chapter 5: Cultivating a Growth Mindset. The most important battles you'll ever fight are the ones that take place in your own mind. It's not the circumstances or the people around you that hold you back. It's the way you think about yourself, your abilities, and your potential. If you believe you're stuck, you will be. If you believe you can't change, you won't. But if you believe in growth, in your ability to learn, adapt, and improve, then nothing can stop you. That's the power of your mindset. And the best part, you get to choose it. The truth is, most people don't realize how much their mindset shapes their lives. They go through their days on autopilot, letting old habits and beliefs run the show. They assume their abilities are fixed, that who they are today is who they'll always be. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking like this too. I'm just not good at that, or I've never been the kind of person who can do that. Sound familiar? That's a fixed mindset talking. It's the voice that tells you your talents and intelligence are set in stone, that trying something new is too risky, that failure is something to avoid at all costs. But here's the thing, none of that is true. You're not stuck with the hand you were dealt. Your brain is designed to grow, to stretch, to adapt. That's what a growth mindset is all about. It's the belief that you can develop your abilities through effort, learning, and persistence. It's understanding that failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. Every time you try, every time you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you're growing stronger, smarter, and more capable. Think about the people you admire, the ones who've achieved incredible things. Do you think they were born with all the skills and knowledge they needed? Of course not. They got there because they believed they could improve, even when it was hard. They embraced challenges instead of running from them. They saw failure as feedback, not as a verdict on their worth. And most importantly, they kept going, even when progress felt slow. Now let's bring this back to you. What's one area of your life where you've been holding yourself back because of a fixed mindset? Maybe it's your career, your health, your relationships, or a skill you've always wanted to learn. Whatever it is, I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourself, what if I could get better at this? What if I gave myself permission to try? That's where growth starts, with the willingness to believe in the possibility of change. A growth mindset doesn't mean pretending everything will be easy or that success is guaranteed. It means committing to the process, even when it's messy and uncomfortable. It means being kind to yourself when you stumble, instead of beating yourself up. Self-compassion is a key part of this journey. You're not going to get everything right on the first try, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep learning, and keep moving forward. One of the best ways to cultivate a growth mindset is to pay attention to the stories you tell yourself. Every time you think, "I can't," or "I'm not good enough," challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just a story I've been telling myself for so long that I've started to believe it? More often than not, you'll find that it's just a story, and stories can be rewritten. Start replacing those limiting beliefs with ones that empower you. Instead of "I can't," say "I'm learning." Instead of "I'm not good enough," say "I'm growing." Another way to strengthen your mindset is to surround yourself with people who inspire and encourage you. The energy of the people around you is contagious, so choose wisely. Spend time with those who push you to be better, who remind you of your potential when you forget. If you don't have those people in your life right now, seek them out. Join communities, find mentors, read books, listen to podcasts, whatever it takes to fill your mind with positivity and possibility. It's also important to celebrate your progress along the way. Growth isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as handling a situation better than you would have a year ago, or sticking with something you would have given up on before. Don't wait until you've reached some big milestone to acknowledge your efforts. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. It's proof that you're evolving, that you're stepping into the person you're meant to be. And let's not forget about failure. It's one of the most powerful teachers you'll ever have. When things don't go as planned, take a step back and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Failure isn't a reflection of your worth. It's an opportunity to grow. The only real failure is giving up. As long as you're still trying, you're still in the game. You don't have to transform overnight. Growth is a lifelong journey, and it looks different for everyone. Some days you'll take big leaps forward. Other days it'll feel like you're barely making progress. That's okay. What matters is that you keep choosing growth, day after day. With every choice, you're training your mind to see possibilities instead of limitations. You're building resilience, courage, and confidence. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of so much more than you once believed. So what's the first step you're going to take today to embrace a growth mindset? Maybe it's tackling a challenge you've been avoiding, trying something new, or simply being kinder to yourself when things don't go perfectly. Whatever it is, start now. Don't wait for the right time or until you feel completely ready. Growth happens in the doing, not the waiting. You've got everything you need to create a mindset that serves you, a mindset that lifts you up instead of holding you back. And when you do, you'll be amazed at what's possible. This is your life, your journey, and your chance to become the person you've always wanted to be. It all starts with the way you choose to think, so choose wisely. The world is waiting for the best version of you, and I promise you won't disappoint. Chapter 6: Building Resilience. Sometimes life feels like one obstacle after another, as if the universe is testing how much you can take. But here's the truth: the challenges you face are not meant to break you, they are meant to build you. Every setback, every disappointment, every moment of doubt is an opportunity to grow stronger, to prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. Resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving in the face of adversity, about rising each time life tries to knock you down. When we talk about resilience, we're talking about your ability to bounce back, to keep moving forward even when the odds are stacked against you. But it's more than just enduring. It's about finding a way to adapt, to learn, and to grow from the experience. And let's be honest, life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan or how hard you work, things will go wrong. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. You'll fail at something you thought you had figured out. That's not negativity, it's reality. The question is, how will you respond when those moments come? Resilience starts with a choice. It's the decision to keep going, to refuse to let setbacks define you. It's not about pretending everything is fine or ignoring your feelings. It's okay to feel frustrated, hurt, or even defeated at times. Allow yourself to sit with those emotions, to acknowledge them, but don't stay there. Resilience is about taking those emotions and turning them into fuel. It's about saying, "This is hard, but I'm going to get through it." One of the first steps to building resilience is shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing challenges as barriers, try to view them as stepping stones. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? I know it's not always easy to think that way in the moment, especially when you're in the thick of it. But even the toughest experiences have something to teach you about yourself, about others, about life. The more you train your mind to look for the lesson, the more resilient you'll become. Let me share something that might resonate with you. Resilience is deeply tied to how we frame failure. So many people are terrified of failing. They think it's a reflection of their worth or a sign that they're not good enough. But failure is just feedback. It's life's way of showing you what doesn't work so you can figure out what does. Think about the most successful people you know or admire. They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there because they were willing to fail, to take risks, and to try again when things didn't work out. Resilience is what kept them going. Sometimes, building resilience means breaking things down into smaller, manageable pieces. When life feels overwhelming, when the problems feel too big to tackle, focus on the next step. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You just need to take one small action. Maybe it's reaching out for help. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's simply getting out of bed and showing up for the day. Whatever it is, celebrate that step, because every small victory adds up. Another important aspect of resilience is the people you surround yourself with. Let's be honest, no one does this alone. We all need support, encouragement, and someone to remind us of our strength when we forget. Take a look at your circle. Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Are they the kind of people who inspire you to keep going, who remind you of your worth even when you're struggling? If not, it's time to make some changes. Seek out those who believe in you, who challenge you to grow, who show up when it matters. And don't forget to be that person for someone else. Resilience grows when we're connected to others. Self-care is another crucial part of this journey. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't be resilient if you're running on fumes. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Whether it's getting enough sleep, eating well, moving your body, or taking time to recharge, these are the things that give you the energy and strength to face whatever comes your way. And let's not underestimate the power of simply being kind to yourself. Talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a friend. You deserve that compassion. One thing I've learned is that resilience isn't just about enduring the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain. Life isn't always going to go the way you planned, but that doesn't mean it can't still be beautiful. Sometimes, the most powerful moments of growth happen in the messiest, most unexpected places. Embrace those moments. Trust that even when it feels like everything is falling apart, something new is being built. You might be wondering, how do I know if I'm resilient enough? The fact that you're here, reading this, is proof that you already have resilience within you. Every time you've faced a challenge and kept going, every time you've gotten back up after a fall, you've been building that strength. Resilience isn't about never struggling, it's about showing up again and again, no matter how hard it gets. And here's the most beautiful part. Resilience isn't just something you build for yourself, it's something you can pass on to others. When you show courage in the face of difficulty, when you rise after a fall, you become an example for those around you. Your resilience can inspire someone else to find their own. That's the ripple effect of choosing to grow through what you go through. So, what will you choose? Will you let the challenges define you, or will you use them to refine you? The choice is yours, and I believe you're stronger than you realize. Keep going, keep growing. The world needs your resilience, your strength, your light. You've got this. Chapter 7: Overcoming Limiting Beliefs. Your beliefs shape your reality. The limits you feel, the barriers you see, and the ceilings you think you can't break through are often built in your own mind. It's a tough truth, but one worth facing. The only thing holding you back most of the time is you. And what's stopping you? It's the stories you've told yourself, the doubts you've internalized, and the limits you've accepted as truth. But here's the good news. Those beliefs are not set in stone. They can be challenged, rewritten, and replaced with something stronger, something that serves the life you're meant to live. Let's start with this. We all carry beliefs about ourselves, often picked up along the way without even realizing it. Maybe someone told you as a kid that you weren't good at something, and you believed them. Maybe you failed before, and instead of seeing it as one moment in time, you decided that failure defined who you are. Or maybe you've compared yourself to others so much that you've convinced yourself you'll never measure up. These beliefs, these narratives, they don't just sit quietly in the background. They guide your decisions, your actions, and ultimately your results. Think about it. If you believe you're not smart enough to achieve your goals, will you even try? If you think you're unworthy of love or success, how will you respond when opportunities come your way? Limiting beliefs aren't just thoughts, they're chains. They hold you back from taking risks, from growing, from becoming the person you're capable of being. And the saddest part, most of these beliefs aren't even true. Here's a truth you need to hold on to. Just because you've thought something for a long time doesn't make it real. Our minds are powerful, but they're also flawed. They cling to what feels familiar, even if it's not helpful. But familiarity isn't fact. That voice in your head that says, "I can't do this," or "I'm not enough," that's not you. That's a belief you've picked up along the way, and it's time to question it. The first step in overcoming limiting beliefs is identifying them. This takes honesty, and it takes courage. Pay attention to the thoughts that run through your mind when you're faced with a challenge or an opportunity. What do you tell yourself? Do you hear things like, "I'll never figure this out," or "This isn't for me," or "People like me don't succeed"? Write those thoughts down, get them out of your head and onto paper. Seeing them in black and white can be a powerful reminder that they're just words, not facts. Once you've identified these beliefs, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Look for evidence to the contrary. For example, if you believe you're not capable of achieving something, think about times in your life when you've succeeded, even in small ways. If you believe you're not good enough, remember moments when you've made a difference, when you've been loved, when you've shown strength. Your brain may try to cling to the negative. It's wired that way, but you can train it to see the bigger picture. Another powerful exercise is to reframe your limiting beliefs. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," try saying, "I'm still learning, and I'm getting better every day." Instead of thinking, "I'll never succeed," tell yourself, "Every step I take brings me closer to success." These aren't just feel-good affirmations. They're ways of rewiring your brain to focus on possibility instead of limitation. Over time, as you repeat these new beliefs and back them up with action, they'll start to feel more natural. And when your beliefs shift, so does your reality. Building confidence is also key to overcoming limiting beliefs. Confidence isn't about thinking you're perfect. It's about knowing you can handle whatever comes your way. Start small. Take on challenges that stretch you just a little beyond your comfort zone. Each time you succeed, you'll prove to yourself that you're more capable than you thought. And even when you fail, and you will because that's part of life, you'll see that failure isn't the end of the world. It's a stepping stone, not a stop sign. It's also important to surround yourself with the right people. The voices you listen to, the energy you absorb, all of it impacts your beliefs. Are the people in your life lifting you up, or are they reinforcing the doubts you're trying to overcome? Seek out those who believe in you, who challenge you to grow, who remind you of your potential, and just as importantly, be that person for yourself. Speak to yourself with kindness, with encouragement, with belief. You wouldn't tear down a friend who's struggling, so why do it to yourself? Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Your limiting beliefs don't have to disappear completely for you to move forward. You don't have to feel 100% confident or completely free of doubt to take action. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's taking action despite it. The same goes for overcoming limiting beliefs. You can acknowledge them, even feel them, and still choose to act in a way that moves you closer to your goals. Over time, as you take action and see results, those beliefs will lose their power. Remember, growth is a process. Changing your beliefs won't happen overnight, and that's okay. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate every small step, every little victory, and when you slip back into old patterns, don't beat yourself up. Notice it, learn from it, and keep going. The fact that you're even willing to do this work says so much about your strength and your commitment to your own growth. You are not your doubts. You are not your fears. You are not the limits you've placed on yourself. You are so much more than that. You are capable of growth, of change, of becoming the person you've always wanted to be. The journey starts with a choice, the choice to stop believing the lies you've told yourself and start living the truth of your potential. So what will you choose? Because your life, your future, and your potential are waiting. Chapter 8. Taking Action. The Power of Small Steps. Every big change in life begins with a single step, no matter how small it seems at the time. The truth is, most people get stuck not because they lack talent, resources, or desire, but because they never take that first step. They let fear, overthinking, or perfectionism paralyze them. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect money, the perfect opportunity, and in that waiting, their dreams fade into maybe someday. But here's the reality: you don't need perfect, you just need progress. Small, consistent actions have the power to create massive transformations. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed by a big goal or an idea you wanted to pursue. Maybe it felt so huge, so far out of reach, that you didn't even know where to begin. That feeling of being stuck, of not knowing what to do next, can be suffocating. But here's what most people miss. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You don't have to take giant leaps. In fact, the most successful journeys often start with the tiniest of steps. Those steps, though small, are what build momentum. And momentum is what turns a single spark into a blazing fire. Taking action, even when it feels small or insignificant, is a declaration. It's saying to yourself and the world, I'm moving forward, I'm not staying where I am. It might be as simple as writing down your goals, making a single phone call, or dedicating 10 minutes to a new habit. But every action, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you want to become. The magic of small steps is that they're not intimidating. They don't require perfection, and they don't demand that you have everything figured out. Small steps allow you to start right where you are, with what you have. And when you focus on just the next step, you silence that inner critic that tries to convince you it's all too hard or too complicated. You don't have to climb the entire mountain today. You just need to take the next step. When you take consistent small steps, something amazing happens. You begin to trust yourself. Trust is built through action, not intention. Every time you follow through, no matter how small the action, you're sending a message to yourself that says, I can do this. I follow through. I keep my promises. Over time, this builds confidence. And confidence isn't about knowing you'll succeed. It's about knowing you'll show up and try, no matter what. But let's be honest, sometimes even taking that first small step feels hard. Maybe it's fear of failure. Maybe it's fear of what other people will think. Or maybe it's the voice in your head that says, what's the point? This won't make a difference. Let me tell you something. Those voices are normal. Everyone has them. But they don't have to control you. The only way to quiet those doubts is to prove them wrong. And you do that by taking action, again and again, until the voices lose their power. Action isn't just about doing, it's about learning. Every step you take, whether it leads to success or a stumble, teaches you something valuable. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what you need to adjust. It's like walking in the dark with a flashlight. You don't see the whole path, but as you take one step, the light reveals a little more. Then you take another step, and more of the path becomes clear. The only way to see what's ahead is to keep moving. Accountability can also be a game changer when it comes to taking action. We're much more likely to follow through when we know someone else is paying attention. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a group of like-minded people, having someone to check in with can keep you motivated on the days when your own willpower feels weak. But here's the thing, accountability starts with you. You have to be willing to hold yourself to the standard of showing up, even when no one is watching. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with the results of your choices. Let's not forget the importance of celebrating progress along the way. Too often, we focus so much on the end goal that we ignore the small wins that happen every day. But those wins matter. Every step forward is proof that you're capable of change. Celebrate them. Take pride in the fact that you're doing the work, even when it's hard. That celebration, no matter how small, fuels your momentum and reminds you why you started in the first place. Now, I want you to imagine something. Picture the person you'll be a year from now if you start today. Not if you wait for the perfect moment, but if you take one small step today and another tomorrow and another the day after that. Imagine how much progress you'll make, how much stronger, wiser, and more confident you'll feel. That person, the future you, is waiting, and they're counting on you to take that first step. So let's make this real. Think about one thing you've been putting off, one goal or dream that feels important to you. What's one small action you can take today to move closer to it? Not next week, not when you feel ready, but today. Maybe it's writing that email you've been avoiding, researching the next step in your plan, or setting aside 10 minutes to start that project you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is, do it. Do it not because it's easy, but because it matters. Do it because you owe it to yourself to move forward. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be consistent. One step at a time, one choice at a time, you're building a life that reflects your potential. And if you keep going, there's no limit to what you can create. The only question is, will you start? Because the life you want begins the moment you decide to take that first step. Chapter 9. Developing New Habits. Change doesn't happen because you want it to. It happens because you do something about it over and over again until it becomes a part of who you are. That's the secret most people miss. The small, consistent actions you take every single day shape your life far more than the big decisions or dramatic moments ever will. If you want to reinvent yourself, if you want to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, it all starts with your habits. Habits are the foundation of who you are and who you're becoming. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stopped and really thought about your daily habits? I'm not talking about the big things you hope to accomplish someday, but the small, automatic things you do every day. The way you start your morning, how you respond to challenges, the choices you make without even thinking about them. Those habits, whether you realize it or not, are shaping your future. They're either pushing you closer to your goals or pulling you further away from them. The beauty of habits is that they don't require you to rely on motivation or willpower. Let's be honest, motivation is fleeting. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable, and other days you'd rather pull the covers over your head and ignore the world. But habits don't care how you feel. They don't depend on your mood or your energy levels. Once a habit is ingrained, it runs on autopilot. It becomes a part of you, something you do without even thinking about it. And that's why they're so powerful. If you've ever felt stuck or overwhelmed by the idea of change, I want you to know that building new habits doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once is one of the quickest ways to set yourself up for failure. The key is to start small, so small that it almost feels too easy. Because when you start small, you're not just building a habit, you're building confidence in your ability to follow through. Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to get in better shape, but the idea of hitting the gym for an hour every day feels daunting. Instead of trying to do it all at once, what if you started with just 5 minutes of movement each day? That's it, 5 minutes. Maybe it's stretching, going for a short walk, or doing a few push-ups at home. It might not seem like much, but those 5 minutes are a commitment to yourself. They're a signal that you're showing up, even if it's just in a small way. And once you've established that habit, it's so much easier to build on it. This is where the concept of habit stacking can be a game changer. You already have habits you do every day, things like brushing your teeth, making coffee, or checking your phone. What if you used those existing habits as anchors for new ones? For example, if you want to start journaling, you could decide to do it right after brushing your teeth in the morning. By tying the new habit to something you're already doing, you make it easier to remember and follow through. But let's talk about the elephant in the room: bad habits. We all have them, and they can be incredibly hard to break. The first step in overcoming a bad habit is to bring it into the light. You can't change what you're not aware of. Take a moment to think about the habits that aren't serving you. Maybe it's scrolling on your phone late at night instead of getting enough sleep. Maybe it's procrastinating on important tasks or reaching for junk food when you're stressed. Whatever it is, don't beat yourself up about it. Bad habits aren't a reflection of your worth. They're just patterns you've fallen into. And the good news is, patterns can be changed. The key to breaking a bad habit is to replace it with a good one. Habits aren't just actions, they're responses to triggers. Let's say every time you feel stressed, your instinct is to grab a snack. The trigger is stress, and the habit is eating. Instead of trying to simply stop the habit, which often doesn't work, you can replace it. The next time you feel stressed, you might decide to take a deep breath, go for a walk, or write down your thoughts instead. By finding a healthier response to the trigger, you're not just breaking a habit, you're rewiring your brain. Consistency is everything when it comes to habits. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's hard. There will be days when you don't feel like it, when life gets in the way, or when you mess up. That's okay. What matters is that you don't let a bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. Progress, not perfection, is the goal, and the more you show up, the easier it gets. Habits have a way of gaining momentum, like a snowball rolling downhill. The more you do them, the less effort they require. Tracking your habits can also be a powerful tool. There's something incredibly satisfying about seeing your progress laid out in front of you. Whether it's checking off a box on a calendar, using a habit tracking app, or simply writing it down in a notebook, tracking creates a sense of accountability. It's a visual reminder of your commitment, and it helps you stay focused on your goals. I want you to imagine the person you want to become, not just what you want to achieve, but who you want to be at your core. What habits would that person have? What would their daily routines look like? The truth is, you don't become that person by accident. You become them by making intentional choices, day after day, until those choices become second nature. Your habits are the bridge between the life you have now and the life you want to create. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that you have the power to change. No matter where you are right now or how stuck you feel, you can start building habits that align with your goals and values. It won't always be easy, and it won't happen overnight, but every small step you take is a step in the right direction. And when you look back a year from now, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. So start today, choose one habit, take one small step, and begin the journey of becoming the person you were meant to be. Chapter 10: The Role of Passion and Purpose. Passion is the fire that makes life worth living. It's what gives your days purpose and fills your heart with the kind of energy that can move mountains. Without passion, life can feel like you're just going through the motions, like you're existing instead of truly living. But when you're connected to something that excites you, that challenges you, that makes you feel alive, everything changes. You wake up with a sense of direction, with a reason to keep pushing forward, even when things get tough. Passion doesn't just fuel your dreams, it gives meaning to your journey. Have you ever had a moment where time just disappeared because you were so deeply immersed in what you were doing? Maybe it was creating something, solving a problem, helping someone, or exploring something new. That feeling, that sense of flow and fulfillment, that's what happens when you're aligned with your passion. It's not about doing what's easy or what's guaranteed to succeed. It's about doing what makes you feel most like yourself. And that's where reinvention begins, not with what others expect of you, but with what truly sets your soul on fire. But let's be honest, sometimes finding your passion feels like trying to catch smoke. It's not always obvious, and it's not something you can force. Maybe you're someone who's always known what lights you up, or maybe you're still figuring it out. Either way, there's no right or wrong timeline for discovering your passion. What matters is that you stay curious, that you keep exploring, and that you never settle for a life that feels dull or disconnected. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is this: what makes me lose track of time? Pay attention to those moments when you feel fully alive, when your heart races, when you can't help but smile. It might be something big, like performing on stage or building a business, or something smaller but equally meaningful, like cooking a meal for someone you love, or solving a challenging puzzle. Passion doesn't have to be flashy or grand. It just has to matter to you. Sometimes your passion is hidden in the things you've always loved, but have pushed aside because life got busy or practical. Think back to when you were a child. What did you love to do before the world told you what you should be doing? Maybe it was drawing, exploring nature, building things, or telling stories. Those early joys can be powerful clues to what still resonates with you today. And if you're not sure, start experimenting. Try new things, say yes to experiences, and give yourself permission to fail. Passion often shows up in unexpected places, but only if you're willing to look for it. And here's the thing, passion isn't always just one thing. Sometimes it's a combination of interests, skills, and values that come together in a unique way. You might love helping people and also have a talent for writing. Or you might be fascinated by science and also have a deep desire to work with kids. Your passion doesn't have to fit into a neat little box. In fact, the more you embrace all the pieces of who you are, the closer you'll get to discovering what truly drives you. Now let's talk about purpose. If passion is the fire, purpose is the direction. It's the reason behind the passion, the why that gives it depth and meaning. You can be passionate about a lot of things, but when you connect that passion to a purpose, it becomes unstoppable. Purpose is what keeps you going when the excitement fades, when the road gets hard, and when doubt starts to creep in. It's the thing that reminds you why you started in the first place. Purpose often comes from looking beyond yourself. It's about asking, how can I use my passion to make a difference? Maybe it's about creating something that inspires others, solving a problem that's close to your heart, or simply bringing more joy into the world. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It just has to feel meaningful to you. And the beautiful thing is, when you align your passion with your purpose, the impact you can have, not just on your own life but on the lives of others, is extraordinary. It's also important to recognize that passion and purpose evolve over time. What excites you today might not be the same thing that excites you 5 years from now, and that's okay. Life is about growth, and your passion will grow with you. The key is to stay open, to keep listening to that inner voice that says, "This feels right." And when something no longer feels right, don't be afraid to let it go and move on to what's next. Reinvention is a lifelong process, not a one-time event. As you explore your passion and purpose, don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others. It's easy to look at someone else's journey and think, they've got it all figured out, and I'm still struggling to find my way. But the truth is, everyone's path is different. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. Your passion is as unique as you are, and the only person you need to compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. I want you to imagine what your life would look like if you fully embraced your passion and aligned it with your purpose. What would your days feel like? How would you spend your time? Who would you surround yourself with? Picture it in vivid detail, the sights, the sounds, the emotions. That vision is your North Star. It's not just a dream, it's a destination you can work toward, step by step, starting today. And here's the most important thing to remember. Passion and purpose aren't about perfection. They're about progress. They're about showing up, doing your best, and staying true to yourself, even when the path gets messy or uncertain. It's okay to have doubts, to make mistakes, and to change your mind. What matters is that you keep moving forward, that you keep chasing what makes you feel alive. So, what's one small step you can take today to move closer to your passion and purpose? Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been curious about, reaching out to someone who inspires you, or simply taking a moment to reflect on what really matters to you. Whatever it is, don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect plan. Start now, because the life you're dreaming of isn't waiting for someday, it's waiting for you to take action today. Chapter 11. The Influence of Environment. Your environment shapes your life in ways you probably don't even realize. It's not just about the physical space you occupy, but the people you surround yourself with, the energy that fills your day, and the habits and routines that define your world. If you want to reinvent yourself, you have to pay close attention to the environment you're cultivating. Change doesn't just happen within you, it happens through the spaces you move through and the influences you allow to take root in your life. Think about it for a second. When you walk into a room, do you feel energized and inspired, or do you feel drained and unmotivated? Your environment speaks to you all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. It can either help you grow or hold you back. And understanding this can make all the difference in your journey of reinvention. When you're serious about creating change in your life, one of the first things you need to do is assess the environment around you. Ask yourself, does the space I spend the most time in reflect the person I want to become? Does the energy of the people around me support my growth, or does it drain me? Am I surrounding myself with the things, the thoughts, and the people that encourage me to move forward, or do I feel stuck in the same patterns? The truth is, your environment has a massive impact on your mindset, your habits, and even your belief in your own potential. If you want to reinvent yourself and reach new heights, it's time to take a good look at the spaces you're occupying, both physically and mentally, and make intentional choices to change them. Let's start with the physical environment. Imagine you're trying to study or focus on a new project, but your space is cluttered, chaotic, or filled with distractions. How productive do you think you'll be in that environment? Probably not very. But on the flip side, when your space is clean, organized, and conducive to focus, you're more likely to feel motivated and inspired to get to work. Your surroundings can either pull you down or lift you up. A clean, organized, and positive space helps foster clarity and productivity, while a cluttered or chaotic environment can create feelings of overwhelm and distraction. When you're working toward a goal, whether that's building a new habit, mastering a new skill, or pursuing your dreams, the environment you're in plays a huge role in how easy or difficult that process will be. Think about the spaces where you spend the most time. Is it a place that energizes you or drains you? Are there things around you that need to be cleared out, reorganized, or replaced to create a more positive and empowering space? Your environment can influence your mood, your focus, and your ability to take action. If you want to feel inspired to reinvent yourself, you need to surround yourself with inspiration. A cluttered, disorganized, or even just a dull space can make you feel stuck. On the other hand, a clean, organized, and thoughtfully arranged environment helps you focus and feel ready to tackle whatever is ahead. But beyond the physical environment, there's the social environment, the people you surround yourself with. This is just as important, if not more so. The people you spend time with have a profound impact on your mindset and your ability to change. Are the people around you supportive of your goals, or do they constantly pull you down, intentionally or unintentionally? You may not realize it, but the energy of the people around you can either push you forward or hold you back. Reinvention requires courage, and you need people in your life who will encourage you to be brave. You need people who believe in your potential, even when you doubt yourself. You need people who will hold you accountable and challenge you to grow. If you're constantly surrounded by people who don't believe in personal growth, who dismiss your ambitions, or who are stuck in their own negativity, it's going to be harder for you to change. People who are constantly complaining, criticizing, or playing small aren't going to inspire you to dream bigger. You need to be around people who are striving for more, people who challenge you to be your best, and people who want to see you succeed. That's not to say you should cut people out of your life, but you do need to make an honest assessment of the relationships you're nurturing. Are the people in your life pushing you forward, or are they holding you back? It might mean spending less time with certain people or finding new circles of friends who are on a similar journey of growth. The key is to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who challenge you in the best ways, and who will stand by you when the going gets tough. But environment isn't just about the people in your life, it's about the energy you create in your daily routine. What habits are you allowing to define your day? What actions are you repeating over and over, and how are they shaping your life? Your environment is built not just by the physical space around you and the people you interact with, but by your daily habits. The little things you do each day matter. The way you start your morning, the activities you prioritize, the time you dedicate to learning and growing, these are all parts of your environment that influence your ability to reinvent yourself. When you're working on change, small habits can either build you up or tear you down. If you're serious about reinventing yourself, it's time to assess what's in your daily environment. Do you have habits that nourish your growth, or do you have habits that keep you stuck in old patterns? If you find that certain habits are holding you back, it's time to make a shift. Replace the habits that drain you with ones that empower you. Your environment, both physical and social, is like fertile soil. It can either nurture your growth or suffocate it. And just like any garden, the right environment requires maintenance. You have to tend to it. You have to be intentional about where you place yourself and who you let into your life. You have to curate the spaces you occupy to help you grow, and that means being mindful of your environment every day. When you take charge of your environment, whether it's the space you live in, the people you spend time with, or the habits you develop, you begin to feel a shift. You start to realize that you have the power to shape your reality, that you can create a world around you that supports your reinvention. As you continue this journey, take the time to surround yourself with the things, people, and practices that inspire you. Make choices that empower your growth. Your environment is your foundation, so build it in a way that will allow you to rise. Chapter 12. Seeking knowledge and skills. You'll never unlock your full potential until you understand the undeniable truth. The more you know, the more you grow. Knowledge and skills are the tools that shape your future. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your past looks like, or how much you've achieved so far. What matters most is your willingness to keep learning, to seek out the wisdom that can elevate you to new heights, and to develop the skills that make you unstoppable. The moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. It's easy to get caught in the comfort zone of what we already know. But if you want to reinvent yourself, you have to constantly push the boundaries of what you understand. It's about opening yourself up to new ideas, new perspectives, and new ways of doing things. And it's not about memorizing facts or trying to be the smartest person in the room. It's about acquiring the knowledge and skills that empower you to take action and create meaningful change in your life. Think about all the people you admire, the ones who have achieved incredible things. What do they all have in common? They never stopped learning. Whether it was through formal education, life experience, or mentorship, they made a point to seek knowledge in every form. They understood that in order to get better, they had to keep learning, constantly evolving, constantly pushing themselves, constantly refining their craft. And that's the mindset you need to adopt. Reinvention requires a deep commitment to expanding your knowledge and developing new skills. You can't expect to step into a new version of yourself without the right tools in your hand. And those tools are knowledge and skills. They are the foundation for everything you want to achieve. It's so easy to look around and see where others are excelling, to see where you want to be, but what often holds us back is the belief that we don't know enough yet. We feel like we need to wait for the perfect moment, for the right set of qualifications, for more time or for more information. But the reality is, if you keep waiting for all the stars to align before you start learning, you'll never start at all. Knowledge doesn't come with a guarantee of perfect timing. It comes from action, from seeking, from showing up and being willing to learn, even when it feels messy or uncomfortable. So, how do you start? How do you make learning and skill building a regular part of your life? It begins with a mindset shift. You need to approach every day with the mentality that there is always something new to discover. Every experience is an opportunity to learn. Whether it's through reading, attending seminars, watching tutorials, or simply having a conversation with someone who knows more than you, there is always a chance to grow. And it's not about trying to become an expert overnight. It's about consistency. The key to learning is to show up over and over again and invest in your growth, little by little. One of the most important aspects of learning is being open to feedback. None of us are perfect, and it's easy to become defensive when we receive criticism. But criticism, when given constructively, is a tool for growth. It's an opportunity to see where we can improve, where we can refine our approach. You have to be willing to take a step back and acknowledge that there's always room for improvement. This doesn't mean that you're not good enough as you are. It simply means that you're open to being better, to growing, and to learning. And that openness will set you on a path toward constant reinvention. When it comes to acquiring new skills, it's not about doing everything all at once. You don't have to master everything immediately. The key is to focus on one skill at a time, give it the attention it deserves, and get better bit by bit. Mastery doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you will start to see progress. And when you see progress, you'll feel motivated to keep going. But remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Learning doesn't just happen in a classroom or through books. Some of the best lessons come from life itself. Every challenge you face, every setback you experience, is an opportunity to learn something new. In fact, Failure can be one of the most valuable teachers you'll encounter. It's in those moments of struggle that you gain the clarity you need to refine your approach and develop new strategies. Reinvention isn't a linear process. It's full of twists, turns, and bumps along the way. But those bumps are what shape you. They force you to grow, to adapt, and to improve. And the more you're willing to learn from those experiences, the more equipped you'll be to tackle whatever comes next. The people who succeed are the ones who understand the power of continuous learning. They don't wait for perfect conditions, and they don't stop once they've reached a certain point. They keep going because they understand that learning is a lifelong process. And that's the mindset you need to adopt if you're serious about reinventing yourself. Success isn't about reaching one destination and stopping. It's about the ongoing pursuit of knowledge, the continuous development of skills, and the commitment to growing every single day. This doesn't mean you have to go back to school or get a degree. Learning can happen in many different forms. You can learn from podcasts, audiobooks, online courses, mentorship, or simply through trial and error. The key is to find what works for you, to immerse yourself in the process, and to keep pushing forward. Each new skill you acquire is a building block for your success, and every piece of knowledge you gain is another step toward becoming the person you want to be. But here's the catch: it's not enough to just acquire knowledge and skills. You have to apply them. Knowledge without action is just wasted potential. It's not enough to know something. You have to take what you've learned and use it to create change. Reinvention doesn't happen until you act on the things you've learned. It's about taking that new knowledge and turning it into real-world results. When you start applying what you've learned, you'll begin to see the transformation that you're working toward. You'll begin to see how all the pieces come together and how your newfound skills can create a better, more successful life for you. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Start learning today. Seek out new knowledge, develop new skills, and put them into practice. Reinvention is a journey that never ends, and the more you commit to learning, the more you'll grow. The future is waiting for you, and the only way to reach it is by continually improving, one step at a time. Chapter 13. Embracing change in relationships. The people in your life are either pushing you toward your best self or holding you back from it. There's really no middle ground. Relationships are one of the most powerful forces in our lives, and they have the ability to shape who we are, how we think, and where we go. When you're on a journey to reinvent yourself, you have to pay close attention to the relationships you're fostering, because whether you realize it or not, they can either lift you up or drag you down. It's a hard truth, but it's the truth nonetheless. As you evolve and grow, some relationships may naturally fall away. Others might feel threatened by the changes you're making. And some people, unfortunately, will try to keep you stuck in old patterns because it's easier for them when you stay the same. It's human nature, really. People are comfortable with familiarity, even if that familiarity doesn't serve them or you in the long run. But if you're serious about reinventing yourself, you must be prepared for the changes that will come in your relationships along the way. It can be tough to realize that some of the people you've been close to might not be part of your future. Maybe it's family members, old friends, or colleagues who just don't understand the new direction you're heading in. And that's okay. The fact is, you can't keep carrying people who are holding you back just because you've known them for years or because you feel obligated. Reinvention requires a certain level of courage to embrace change, and that includes changing who you spend your time with. When you begin to redefine who you are, it's inevitable that some of the relationships you once cherished will shift. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life harshly or completely, but it does mean you have to stop letting their energy drag you down. And just as importantly, it means you have to start surrounding yourself with people who truly support your growth, who cheer you on when things get tough, and who want to see you thrive. The people you choose to surround yourself with can either fuel your growth or stunt it. If you want to reinvent yourself, you have to be willing to make space for people who are aligned with the new version of you that's emerging. These are people who inspire you, challenge you to think bigger, and encourage you to take risks. They see your potential even when you can't see it yourself, and they're not afraid to tell you the truth when you need it. You can't afford to be surrounded by people who are comfortable with the status quo. Reinvention is about breaking through boundaries, and that requires surrounding yourself with individuals who are also committed to growth. But it's not just about cutting out the negative influences, it's also about finding and nurturing the relationships that will propel you forward. The right relationships are the ones that challenge you to be better, not the ones that let you stay the same. They're the ones that inspire you to work harder, think smarter, and push past your limits. These people bring out the best in you and hold you accountable for your goals. They might be mentors, coaches, or even friends who are on their own journeys of growth and reinvention. The point is, they are people who see you for who you are becoming, not just who you were in the past. Building these kinds of relationships requires a level of vulnerability. You have to be willing to let people in and share your struggles, your dreams, and your doubts. You have to be open to receiving guidance and feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. And that can be tough, especially if you're used to trying to figure everything out on your own. But here's the thing, reinvention isn't meant to be done in isolation. The people you allow into your life can either help light your path or leave you wandering in the dark. One of the most transformative aspects of reinvention is learning how to communicate your changes to the people around you. It's easy to assume that everyone will just get on board with the new you, but the reality is, change can be unsettling for others. They might not understand why you're making the decisions you're making, or why you're setting boundaries with them. Some people may feel threatened or confused by your growth, and that's where honest, open communication comes in. You have to be prepared to have conversations with the people in your life about the changes you're going through. These conversations might be awkward or even difficult, but they're necessary. It's important to express why you're making certain decisions, what your goals are, and how you're working toward them. You might find that some people are more supportive than you anticipated, while others may need some time to adjust. But that's okay. The key is to communicate your vision clearly and set healthy boundaries to protect your space for growth. But what happens when you're surrounded by people who just don't get it? What if the people you love don't support your reinvention? It's heartbreaking, but it's also a part of the process. Not everyone will understand your journey, and not everyone will be willing to grow with you. It's painful, but you have to remember that their inability to support you isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of where they are in their own lives. You can't force people to grow at the same pace as you. You can't make them believe in your vision if they're not ready to see it. In those moments, it's important to remember that reinvention isn't just about what you're leaving behind, it's about what you're stepping into. And sometimes, stepping into your new life means making difficult decisions about the relationships you keep. It means learning to let go of people who aren't ready to come with you, even if it hurts. It doesn't mean you don't love them or care about them. It just means that your growth requires you to make different choices. So, as you embrace this journey of reinvention, take a step back and assess your relationships. Are the people in your life supporting you, challenging you, and encouraging your growth? Or are they keeping you stuck in the same old patterns, in the same old versions of yourself? Reinvention isn't easy, but it's worth it. And the people who are meant to be part of your future will support that growth. They'll celebrate your transformation and cheer you on every step of the way. You have to trust that as you grow, the right people will show up. And sometimes, the right people are the ones who haven't even entered your life yet. It's okay to let go of relationships that no longer serve you, because that makes space for the ones that will. Embrace the change in your relationships as part of the process of becoming who you're meant to be. Let the right people in and let the wrong people go. Your journey to reinvention will be so much more powerful when you're surrounded by people who truly believe in you and your potential. Chapter 14. Navigating challenges and setbacks. You will face setbacks. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And here's the thing, that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's necessary. The path to reinvention is never a straight line, never a perfect, smooth journey from point A to point B. The reality is that the road is filled with bumps, detours, and obstacles that will test you in ways you never imagined. But what defines your journey isn't the challenges you face, it's how you respond to them. When you decide to reinvent yourself, when you commit to being a better version of who you are stepping into unknown territory. And whenever you step into the unknown, there are bound to be things that don't go as planned. You'll encounter failure, rejection, disappointment, and frustration. But that doesn't mean you've failed. That doesn't mean your reinvention isn't happening. It simply means you're learning and growing in the process. Think about any success story you admire. Look at the people who have made significant changes in their lives. Whether it's starting a business, changing careers, or embarking on a personal transformation, none of them had it easy. They all faced moments where they stumbled, where the world seemed to push back against them. But what made them successful was their ability to keep going in the face of adversity. And that's where you need to start shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing setbacks as signs that you're on the wrong path, start seeing them as opportunities to learn. Every time you face an obstacle, you gain valuable insight into what works and what doesn't. You get clearer about what's truly important to you and what you need to adjust in order to move forward. Setbacks aren't failures, they're part of the process, and they're usually the moments that teach you the most. I know it's hard to see that when you're in the middle of a setback, when things aren't going your way and you feel like giving up, it can be easy to get discouraged. You might even wonder if all the effort you've put in has been in vain. But that's when it's most important to dig deep and remember why you started in the first place. You didn't start this journey because it was going to be easy. You started because you wanted something more, something better. And sometimes to get that better, you have to endure some discomfort and uncertainty along the way. One of the hardest parts of navigating setbacks is the fear that they'll derail your progress permanently. But what you have to realize is that setbacks don't define you unless you let them. What defines you is how you respond. Will you let this moment take you out of the game, or will you choose to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult it feels? Will you let fear, doubt, and frustration become the story of your life, or will you use those emotions as fuel to keep pushing? Sometimes it's helpful to remember that every successful person you admire has had their share of failure. No one has made it without having to fight through challenges. What makes them different isn't that they never faced setbacks, but that they kept going when things got tough. They used their struggles as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. They learned to adapt, to adjust, and to keep moving forward, no matter how many times they fell down. This is a lesson you can apply directly to your own journey. If you've been working toward your reinvention and you hit a wall, take a moment to reassess. Look at what happened. What can you learn from this setback? What needs to change in your approach? Sometimes it's simply a matter of adjusting your strategy or changing your perspective. Other times it might require a bigger shift in mindset or a deeper commitment to your goals. The key is to avoid the trap of seeing setbacks as permanent or insurmountable. Every setback is temporary. Every failure is just one step closer to success. The difference between people who succeed and those who give up is that the successful ones keep moving, even when it's hard. They don't let setbacks define them. Instead, they let those setbacks redefine their approach, making them more resourceful, more resilient, and more determined. And while setbacks are a normal part of the journey, it's important to remember that how you deal with them will shape the course of your reinvention. It's easy to throw in the towel when things don't go as planned, but if you want to reinvent yourself, you have to dig deep and find the strength to keep pushing forward. It's in those moments of struggle that you'll build the resilience you need to reach the next level. Without the challenges, there would be no growth. Without the failures, there would be no success. Another thing to consider is how setbacks can help you gain clarity about your goals. Sometimes when everything is going smoothly, you might get lost in the excitement and forget why you started in the first place. But when you face a setback, it forces you to stop and reevaluate. Are you still on the right path? Are your goals still aligned with what you truly want? Are you willing to do what it takes to keep going? These moments of reflection can help you refine your goals and strengthen your commitment to them. It's also important to recognize that setbacks aren't always a reflection of your abilities or worth. Sometimes things don't work out simply because the timing wasn't right, or because external circumstances were beyond your control. That doesn't mean you're not capable or deserving of success. It just means that the path you're on might need some adjustment, and that's okay. Reinvention is a process of constant learning and adapting. You don't have to get everything right the first time. You just have to keep trying, keep learning, and keep moving forward. If you're in the midst of a setback right now, I want you to remind yourself of something important. This is not the end of your story. This is just a chapter. One chapter doesn't define the whole book. You're still on your journey, still on your way to reinventing yourself and creating the life you want. Take this moment, breathe, and then keep going. If you have to pivot, do it. If you have to adjust your goals or timeline, do it. But whatever you do, don't give up. Every setback is an opportunity to come back stronger and smarter than before. Chapter 15: Celebrating Milestones. When was the last time you truly celebrated something you accomplished? No matter how small, we tend to get caught up in the rush of daily life, always looking ahead to the next task, the next goal, the next big thing we need to achieve. But here's the truth. If you don't stop to celebrate your wins, you'll never truly appreciate how far you've come. It's like running a marathon and not pausing to catch your breath, or crossing the finish line and not raising your arms in triumph. Milestones are important. They matter. And it's time to start recognizing that every step forward in your journey to reinvention is worth celebrating. You don't have to wait until you've reached the end to celebrate. You don't need to wait until you've hit the ultimate goal. The truth is, every small victory is a building block for something bigger. Each milestone, whether it's finishing a project, overcoming a fear, or simply sticking to your routine for a week, is a testament to your commitment and growth. When you take time to celebrate these moments, you're not just acknowledging the progress, you're reinforcing the belief that you are capable, that you're on the right track, and that you can keep going. Here's the catch. Celebrating doesn't have to be a grand, elaborate affair. It doesn't need to be some big, expensive event. It can be as simple as taking a moment to appreciate your progress, reflecting on how far you've come, or even treating yourself to something small that feels rewarding. The key is to acknowledge the effort, the energy, and the persistence that got you there. You've put in the work, you've faced the challenges, and you've kept going. That in itself deserves recognition. Celebration is also about shifting your focus away from what's not yet achieved, and instead, embracing the journey. It's easy to fall into the trap of always looking ahead, of always thinking that once you achieve the next goal, then you'll be happy, fulfilled, or satisfied. But here's the thing, if you don't stop to celebrate the wins along the way, you'll miss out on the joy of the process. Reinvention is a marathon, not a sprint, and every single step forward counts. When you celebrate, you're telling yourself, I'm doing this, I'm making progress. It's a powerful message to your mind, body, and spirit. Every time you pause to acknowledge your progress, you're reinforcing the positive habit of persistence. You're teaching yourself to value effort over perfection, progress over perfection. And in a world that often focuses on the end result, this mindset shift is incredibly important. Because let's face it, there's no such thing as an overnight success. The success you see in others is the result of a series of small steps, setbacks, lessons learned, and yes, milestones celebrated. There's also a deeper psychological benefit to celebrating milestones. It boosts your motivation. When you take a moment to recognize what you've achieved, no matter how small, you generate positive reinforcement. Your brain gets the message that progress is rewarding. And when your brain is rewarded, it wants more of that feeling. It craves more of that satisfaction, more of that sense of accomplishment. So when you celebrate, you create a positive feedback loop that pushes you forward to the next milestone. I want you to think about something for a moment. If you're always racing toward the next goal, never taking the time to recognize the little wins, what happens? You become disheartened. You burn out. You lose steam because the journey feels endless. But when you stop and celebrate, you create a rhythm of progress. You reinforce the idea that success is within your reach. And you realize that it's not just about the destination, it's about every step along the way that gets you there. One of the most powerful things you can do is create a reward system for yourself. It could be something small like a night out, a favorite meal, a weekend getaway, or even a day of doing absolutely nothing. The key is to make sure the reward is meaningful to you. It's about creating moments of celebration that are connected to your personal goals. When you hit a milestone, treat yourself. Make that moment a reminder of the hard work you've put in and the progress you've made. Now, this doesn't mean you're being complacent or settling for less. It doesn't mean you're saying, okay, I've done enough, time to stop. Celebrating milestones isn't about being satisfied with mediocrity. It's about acknowledging that every step you take, no matter how small, is leading you closer to where you want to be. It's about honoring the effort, the perseverance, and the resilience that have carried you this far. In fact, celebrating can actually motivate you to keep going. When you acknowledge your progress, it's like adding fuel to your fire. You remind yourself that you are capable of overcoming challenges, pushing through discomfort, and achieving what you set out to do. And that sense of achievement will propel you forward. You'll feel energized, confident, and ready to take on the next challenge. But remember, celebrating your progress also means embracing the process. It's not just about the destination. It's about who you become along the way. Every step, every milestone is part of the transformation. And it's okay to be proud of that transformation. It's okay to recognize that you're not who you were a year ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. You are constantly evolving, constantly growing, and each milestone you hit is proof of that. As you continue on your journey, don't let the fear of not enough keep you from celebrating your wins. You are enough. Your progress is enough. And every time you take a step forward, no matter how small it may seem, you are proving that you are on the path to becoming your best self. Don't wait until you've made it to celebrate. Celebrate now. Celebrate the effort, the determination, the courage to keep going, even when it's tough. Celebrate because you deserve it. Celebrate, because every milestone, big or small, is a testament to your strength and your willingness to grow. So, let's make a pact. Don't wait for the big moment to give yourself credit. Celebrate the small wins, the daily victories, and the little steps you take each day to become the person you're meant to be. Reinvention isn't a destination, it's a journey. And every single milestone is worth celebrating. Keep going, keep growing, and keep celebrating. You are on the path to something incredible. Chapter 16: The Role of Reflection in Growth. Have you ever taken a moment to stop, breathe, and look back on your journey? Not just to see where you've been, but to truly reflect on how far you've come and what you've learned along the way. Reflection is one of the most powerful tools for growth, and yet so many of us skip it. We get so caught up in our to-do lists, the goals we're chasing, and the daily grind that we forget to pause and recognize the progress we've made. If you're serious about reinvention, about creating lasting change in your life, reflection isn't just important, it's absolutely essential. The problem is, we tend to think of reflection as something we do only when we've finished something, when we've achieved a big goal. But that's a misconception. Reflection is not just about reviewing the past, it's about using that past to fuel your future. It's about looking at your experiences, your successes, and your failures, and asking yourself, what can I learn from this? What has this taught me about who I am, what I'm capable of, and where I want to go next? Without this kind of introspection, we miss out on some of the most valuable lessons life has to offer. Think about it for a second. How many times have you faced a setback, a challenge, or a moment of doubt, only to look back later and realize that it was the thing that pushed you to grow? Maybe it was a difficult conversation that taught you the power of vulnerability, or a failure that showed you what you really wanted out of life. Maybe it was a tough decision that forced you to confront your values and your true desires. Those moments, even when they were hard to face, were the moments that shaped you into who you are today. But in order to fully appreciate the lessons they offered, you need to reflect on them. Reflection isn't just about looking back, it's about asking the right questions to uncover the insights you need in order to keep moving forward. It's about taking the time to step away from the noise of your daily life and give yourself the space to process everything you've been through. When you reflect, you're essentially giving yourself the gift of perspective. You're able to see the bigger picture, to connect the dots between your actions and your results, and to understand why things turned out the way they did. It's also important to remember that reflection isn't always about looking for things you could have done better. Of course, there's value in identifying areas where you can improve. But reflection is just as much about acknowledging the things you've done well, the risks you've taken, and the progress you've made. Too often, we focus on what didn't work, on what's still left to be done, and we forget to celebrate how far we've come. Taking a moment to reflect on the good stuff, the wins, the small victories, can help keep you motivated and remind you that you're already on the right path. In the process of reinvention, there will be times when you feel like you're not moving fast enough, or that your progress is too slow. That's when reflection becomes a real game changer. When you pause and look back, you'll often see that you've actually accomplished a lot more than you give yourself credit for. You've learned new things, developed new habits, and overcome challenges that once seemed impossible. Reflection helps you see those milestones and achievements clearly, and it reminds you that even though the journey might be longer than you anticipated, you're making significant progress every single day. Let's be honest, reinventing yourself is hard. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and there will be moments when you wonder if it's all worth it. But when you reflect on how far you've come, when you look at the person you were a year ago compared to who you are today, you'll realize that every struggle, every failure, every setback was part of the process. Reflection allows you to zoom out and recognize that the bumps in the road aren't just obstacles, they're stepping stones. They're teaching you, shaping you, and pushing you to grow into the person you're meant to be. So how do you make reflection a part of your daily or weekly routine? It doesn't have to be a big, time-consuming exercise. It can be as simple as setting aside 10 or 15 minutes at the end of your day or week to think about what went well, what didn't, and what you learned from both. It's about creating the space for yourself to process your thoughts, your emotions, and your experiences. One of the easiest ways to reflect is through journaling. Writing things down helps you organize your thoughts and gives you a way to look back on your journey over time. But reflection doesn't just happen in solitude. Talking things through with someone you trust can also offer valuable insights. Whether it's a mentor, a coach, or a close friend, having someone to help you process your experiences can make a huge difference. They can ask questions you might not have thought of, offer a fresh perspective, or help you see things from a different angle. Reflection, when shared with the right people, becomes a powerful tool for learning and growth. Another great tool for reflection is visualization. It's not just about thinking back on what's happened, but imagining where you want to go next. Take a moment to close your eyes and picture your ideal future. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What's the next step you need to take to get there? Reflecting on your past can help you gain clarity on your future. It can help you realign your goals and stay focused on the bigger picture. As you continue your journey of reinvention, make reflection a non-negotiable part of the process. Don't just go through the motions. Take time to stop, look back, and learn. Ask yourself questions that will help you grow. What went well today? What could I do differently tomorrow? How do I feel about the progress I've made so far? Reflection helps you see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. It's the compass that keeps you on track, helping you navigate the twists and turns of your reinvention journey. You don't have to have all the answers right away. You don't have to have it all figured out. But the more you reflect on your experiences, the clearer the path ahead will become. Reflection is a powerful tool because it allows you to step out of autopilot mode and take control of your story. It helps you see the bigger picture and connect the dots between where you've been and where you're going. And it reminds you that no matter where you are on your journey, you're exactly where you need to be. Chapter 17. Staying motivated for the long haul. There's a truth we all have to face at some point. Motivation isn't something that just magically stays with you. It's easy to feel pumped up and ready to tackle the world at the start of a new goal or a fresh chapter in life. The excitement, the energy, the drive, it's all there, pushing you forward. But as time goes on, that initial rush starts to fade, and suddenly, staying motivated feels like a real challenge. You may have heard the saying, the beginning is always the hardest, but I'd argue that the real difficulty lies in the middle. The middle is where motivation starts to wane, where the novelty wears off, and where distractions and doubts start to creep in. The truth is, motivation isn't something that comes naturally or stays around on its own. It's something you have to work at. You can't wait for motivation to magically appear every day, because it won't. But here's the good news. You don't need motivation to keep moving forward. What you need is discipline. Discipline is the muscle that keeps you going when motivation fades, when things get tough, and when you're tempted to quit. It's the force that pushes you through the hard days, the ones where you feel like nothing is working, and you wonder if it's all worth it. Staying motivated for the long haul isn't about feeling excited every day. It's about understanding your why and staying focused on the bigger picture. When motivation starts to fade, and it will, you can rely on your deeper reasons for doing what you're doing to keep you going. What is it that's driving you forward? What's the real purpose behind your goals? When you know your why, it becomes a constant reminder of why this is all worth it. That's where the power lies. When you have a clear sense of purpose, motivation is no longer a fleeting feeling. It's something you can tap into whenever you need it. But let's face it, we all go through times when even discipline isn't enough. Life gets busy, things get in the way. You hit a rough patch, and suddenly the things you thought you could handle start to feel impossible. That's when it's important to build a system of support around you. You don't have to go it alone. Find people who believe in your vision, people who can encourage you when you feel like giving up. It could be a friend, a family member, or a mentor, someone who reminds you of your potential and keeps you accountable. Having someone to check in with, to share your wins and your struggles, can make all the difference. And here's a powerful tip: celebrate every small win along the way. Motivation is often tied to progress, but progress doesn't always come in giant leaps. It comes in small, consistent steps. Every time you make a little bit of progress, no matter how small, take a moment to recognize it. Celebrate it. Give yourself credit for putting in the effort, for staying committed, for showing up even when it felt tough. These little wins add up over time, and they remind you that you are moving forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's also important to remember that staying motivated isn't about being perfect. You don't have to have it all together all the time. In fact, one of the quickest ways to lose motivation is to expect perfection. You're going to have days when things don't go as planned, when you fall off track, or when you just don't feel like it. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Instead, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when things go wrong. Treat yourself the way you would treat a friend who was going through the same struggles. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep growing. The role of daily habits in staying motivated can't be overstated. Motivation doesn't always look like a burst of energy or a moment of clarity. Sometimes, it's just the simple act of showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Your habits are the bridge between your goals and your results. When you build strong, consistent habits, they do the work for you when your motivation is low. It's easy to think that motivation is the spark that lights the fire, but in reality, it's your habits that keep the fire burning. Your habits are the foundation of your success. And once they're in place, they carry you through the hard days, the tough times, and the moments when you question whether it's all worth it. Another strategy that can help you stay motivated is the practice of positive affirmations. It might sound a little cheesy, but there's real power in the words you speak to yourself. Your inner dialogue plays a huge role in your motivation. If you're constantly telling yourself you can't do it, that it's too hard, or that you'll never succeed, you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you shift your mindset and start affirming your strength, your capability, and your potential, you'll find that your motivation grows stronger. Affirmations are a tool you can use every day to remind yourself that you are capable of achieving your goals, even when things feel difficult. It's also essential to stay flexible and adaptable. Motivation can be hard to maintain when things aren't going according to plan, or when you face setbacks. But remember, setbacks are just opportunities to learn, to adjust, and to grow stronger. When something goes wrong, instead of getting discouraged, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach moving forward? Flexibility is key to staying motivated over the long haul. Life will always throw challenges your way, but when you have the resilience to adapt, you'll find that motivation comes much more easily. Most importantly, remember that staying motivated is a journey, not a destination. It's not about finding the magic formula that will make you feel motivated every single day. It's about creating a system that works for you, a system that includes discipline, self-compassion, accountability, and daily habits. It's about recognizing that motivation will come and go, but your commitment to your goals and your vision will keep you on track, no matter what. When you look back at your life, you won't remember the days when you felt motivated, because those days will fade away. What you will remember are the moments when you kept going, when you didn't give up, when you stayed focused on your why, and when you took action despite the challenges. Those moments will define your journey, and they will be the foundation of your success. So stay in the game. Don't wait for motivation to show up at your door. Instead, create the habits and the mindset that will keep you moving forward, no matter what. The road may not always be easy, but if you stay committed to your goals, you will get there. And when you do, you'll realize that it wasn't motivation that got you across the finish line. It was your persistence, your discipline, and your unwavering belief in yourself. Keep going, because your success is inevitable. Chapter 18. Visualizing success. You've probably heard it said that if you can see it, you can achieve it. But let's be real, when you're stuck in the middle of a challenging journey, sometimes it's hard to even imagine the success you're working toward. The road feels long, and the obstacles can feel overwhelming. So how can you keep going when the end goal seems so far away? The answer is simple, yet powerful: visualization. It's not just about daydreaming or wishful thinking. It's about creating a mental image of your success that serves as both your motivation and your blueprint. If you can see it clearly in your mind, it becomes easier to move toward it. Visualization isn't just some mental exercise, it's a tool that can literally transform your life. Now you may be wondering, how can imagining something help me achieve it? Well, the brain doesn't know the difference between a vivid imagination and a real experience. When you picture yourself succeeding, your mind treats it like it's actually happening. This mental practice creates neural connections that reinforce your belief in your abilities. Essentially, you're training your brain to recognize success as not just possible, but inevitable. That feeling of doubt and uncertainty that creeps in when you face challenges. Visualization can wipe that away by reminding you of your own potential. Imagine for a moment, what would your life look like if you were living your greatest success? Picture yourself not just achieving your goals, but feeling the pride, the joy, the fulfillment that comes with them. See yourself standing at the finish line, knowing you gave it everything you had. Feel the emotions connected to your success, whether that's relief, excitement, or even gratitude. The more vivid and detailed you can make this mental picture, the more powerful the effect will be. Visualizing isn't just about wishing for success, it's about creating a clear mental image that pulls you toward your goals. But here's the thing, visualization alone won't get you to the finish line. It's just one piece of the puzzle. However, when combined with action, belief, and persistence, it becomes a game changer. It's like giving yourself a roadmap that guides you every step of the way. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the weight of the journey, but visualization helps break it down into manageable, achievable parts. You start to see the path more clearly, and that makes the journey feel less daunting. One of the most effective ways to visualize success is by incorporating all of your senses into the process. Don't just see the end result, feel it. What does success look like for you? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Can you hear the applause, the cheers, or the sound of your own voice as you achieve your goal? The more detailed and sensory-rich your visualization is, the more powerful it becomes. It taps into your emotions and your subconscious mind, which is where real transformation happens. Visualization can also help you during the tough moments. When things get hard, when you feel like giving up, return to that mental image of success. Remember how it felt when you first envisioned it. That powerful sense of accomplishment and joy can reignite your motivation and remind you of why you started in the first place. It serves as a compass, guiding you back to your purpose when the road gets tough. And let's face it, the road will get tough. There will be moments when you question if you're on the right path. That's when visualization becomes a lifeline. It helps you reframe challenges as temporary setbacks rather than insurmountable obstacles. You can also use visualization as a way to practice success before it even happens. Imagine preparing for a big presentation, a job interview, or a major event. Instead of letting fear or anxiety take over, visualize yourself handling the situation with confidence and ease. Picture yourself speaking clearly, engaging your audience, or impressing the interviewer. This mental rehearsal prepares you for the real thing, so when the moment comes, you're ready to execute with confidence. Your mind doesn't know that this is just a practice run. It treats it as if you've already experienced it, so when it's time to perform, you're much more likely to do it successfully. If you really want to take your visualization to the next level, consider creating a vision board. This simple tool can act as a physical reminder of your dreams and goals. Find pictures, words, and symbols that represent the future you want to create and place them on a board that you can look at daily. Each time you glance at it, you're reinforcing that mental image of success. Your brain sees these representations and they become more ingrained in your thoughts. Over time, these images become your reality. And while it's important to visualize success, don't forget to acknowledge the process. Sometimes we get so focused on the outcome that we forget to celebrate the small steps that lead to it. When you visualize success, make sure you also envision the daily actions and habits that will take you there. See yourself waking up early, making progress on your goals, pushing through difficult times, and celebrating each milestone along the way. Success isn't just about the big wins, it's about the little victories, the moments of growth, and the resilience you build on the journey. Visualization can also help you overcome self-doubt. When you're working toward a big goal, it's easy to fall into the trap of negative self-talk. You may question whether you're good enough or capable enough to reach your dreams. This is where visualization can be a powerful tool. Every time that doubt creeps in, go back to that mental picture of your success. Remind yourself that you've already seen it, and it's within your reach. With every step, you're getting closer to making it a reality. But perhaps one of the most powerful benefits of visualization is its ability to strengthen your belief in yourself. When you can see success in your mind, you start to believe it's possible, and belief is the key to unlocking your potential. The more you believe in your ability to succeed, the more confident you'll feel in taking action. When you have a clear mental image of where you're headed, the path becomes less blurry. The steps seem more achievable, and the obstacles that once felt insurmountable suddenly feel like small bumps in the road. You don't need to wait until everything is perfect to start visualizing. You don't need to wait for the right circumstances or the right timing. The best time to start is now. Picture yourself living the life you want. Picture yourself achieving your goals, and then take the next step toward making it a reality. Visualization isn't a one-time exercise, it's a practice, a daily ritual that fuels your progress. The more you do it, the more powerful it becomes. So close your eyes, see your success, and let that vision pull you forward. Keep going, because everything you've imagined is waiting for you on the other side of belief and action. Chapter 19. Becoming your authentic self. There comes a time in everyone's life when they face the truth. Who you are right now isn't the person you were meant to be. It's not a flaw or a failure, but a wake-up call to show you that the person you're becoming is far more powerful, far more capable, and far more authentic than the version you've settled into. We spend so much of our lives trying to meet the expectations of others, trying to fit into molds that don't really suit us, and as a result, we lose touch with the core of who we are. But here's the thing, you don't have to live like that. You can step into your true self, embrace your authenticity, and in doing so, find a life of purpose and fulfillment that you never imagined possible. The journey to becoming your authentic self isn't about changing who you are. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning and self-doubt that have kept you from showing up as the real you. We're often taught to conform, to play it safe, to follow a set path that's been laid out by society, family, or friends. We're told what success should look like, what happiness should feel like, and even how we should express ourselves. The truth, though, is that you are the only person who truly knows what's right for you. Authenticity isn't something that can be found in the opinions of others. It's something that lives inside you, waiting to be uncovered. You see, the world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs you, the real, raw, unapologetic you. The one who isn't afraid to be vulnerable. The one who isn't afraid to follow their own path, no matter how unconventional it may seem. When you embrace your authenticity, you tap into a well of energy, creativity, and power that's been waiting for you all along. It's like unlocking a treasure chest inside yourself that holds the key to your greatest potential. But becoming your authentic self isn't always easy. It requires you to confront the fears, doubts, and insecurities that have been holding you back. It requires you to challenge the beliefs you've held about yourself for years, some of which may have been shaped by others. The first step in this process is recognizing that you don't need anyone else's permission to be yourself. You don't need to wait for approval, for validation, or for the perfect moment. The time is now, and the person you're waiting for is already within you. When you start embracing your authenticity, something magical happens. The world around you starts to shift. You begin to attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are. The relationships you build become deeper and more meaningful because you're showing up as your true self, not a version of yourself that you think others will like. The more authentic you become, the more freedom you experience. You stop living in the shadows of other people's expectations, and instead you step into the light of your own truth. Of course, being authentic also means taking ownership of your flaws and imperfections. This is where many people get stuck. We've been taught to hide our weaknesses, to put on a mask of perfection, and to pretend that we have it all together. But in reality, your imperfections are part of what makes you human, and they are a vital part of your authentic self. When you embrace your imperfections, you become more relatable, more compassionate, and more connected to others. You stop pretending to be something you're not, and start living in alignment with who you truly are. It's also important to remember that authenticity doesn't mean you have to share every part of yourself with the world. Being authentic is about being true to yourself, but it's also about setting boundaries and deciding what parts of yourself you want to share with others. Not every thought, emotion, or experience needs to be broadcasted for the world to see. Your authenticity is about being honest with yourself first and foremost. It's about knowing what's right for you, regardless of what others think. One of the biggest challenges on this journey is letting go of the fear of judgment. The truth is, when you start showing up as your authentic self, not everyone is going to like it. Some people will criticize, some will try to put you in a box, and some may even walk away. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to be part of your journey. When you begin to live authentically, you will naturally attract people who resonate with your energy, people who appreciate you for who you truly are. Those are the people who will encourage you, support you, and lift you up. And their presence in your life will feel far more fulfilling than any superficial validation from those who don't understand you. As you embrace your authenticity, it's also important to remember that this journey is ongoing. There's no final destination, no moment where you reach perfection as your true self. Instead, being authentic is a continual process of growth, self-discovery, and self-expression. You'll evolve over time, and your authentic self will continue to unfold in new and unexpected ways. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming more aligned with your truth every day. In practical terms, becoming your authentic self means making choices that reflect your values, your passions, and your desires. It means saying no to things that don't align with who you are, even if it's uncomfortable or unpopular. It means taking risks, small and big, to pursue the things that matter most to you. It means showing up, being honest, and trusting yourself, even when the path ahead seems unclear. You don't need to wait for the approval of others, and you don't need to live up to some external standard of success. The only standard that matters is the one you set for yourself. Your success, your happiness, and your fulfillment are all dependent on your willingness to embrace the real you. And when you do, you'll find that the world opens up in ways you never imagined. You'll find that the people who are meant for you will come into your life, and the opportunities you've been waiting for will appear when you're ready to receive them. So here's the question: what would your life look like if you embraced your true self without apology or hesitation? What if you stopped hiding behind fear and doubt and started showing up in the world as the person you were always meant to be? The time to begin is now. Your authentic self is waiting for you to take the first step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. You have everything you need inside you. Trust yourself, embrace your uniqueness, and watch as your life begins to transform in ways you never thought possible. Chapter 20. Reflecting on the journey. Life beyond reinvention. The truth is, the journey of reinvention doesn't end the moment you reach your destination. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. When you've spent so much time and effort reshaping your life, it's easy to think that you'll arrive at this perfect version of yourself, and then everything will just fall into place. But the truth is, life isn't about reaching a destination. It's about how you evolve along the way, how you continue growing, and how you embrace the challenges that are still ahead of you. If you're reading this, chances are you've already made significant changes in your life. You've stepped out of your comfort zone, broken free from old patterns, and found the courage to reinvent yourself. But the question now becomes, how do you maintain that growth and keep moving forward after you've made the changes you set out to make? How do you ensure that you don't just return to old habits, old fears, and old limitations? First, let me remind you of something incredibly important. Reinvention is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong process. You may have transformed your mindset, your habits, or your relationships, but that doesn't mean the journey is over. In fact, it's just beginning. Reinvention is about developing the tools, the mindset, and the resilience to continue evolving as life moves forward. The key to life beyond reinvention is understanding that you are never finished. There's always more to learn, more to experience, and more ways to grow. This realization is powerful because it means you can take your progress, your new mindset, and your new habits, and use them to tackle whatever comes next. At some point in this journey, you may find yourself standing at a crossroads, wondering what's next. You've made the changes you wanted to make, but you might feel a little uncertain about where you're headed, and that's perfectly normal. Reinvention doesn't happen in a straight line. You don't suddenly become a completely new person and then live your life on cruise control. Life will continue to throw challenges your way, and the real work begins in how you navigate those challenges. This is when the tools you've gained, your discipline, your growth mindset, your resilience, will come into play. You'll face new obstacles. You'll encounter new opportunities that require you to keep evolving. The key is to always stay in motion, to continue applying what you've learned about yourself, and to keep stepping into new versions of yourself as life demands. The person you are today isn't the same person you'll be a year from now. And that's the beauty of reinvention. You get to keep growing, keep expanding, and keep becoming who you were always meant to be. One of the most powerful ways to ensure that you continue evolving is by regularly reflecting on your journey. Reflection isn't just about looking back at where you've been. It's about using that information to guide where you're going. It's about acknowledging how far you've come, understanding what you've learned along the way, and recognizing the growth that has occurred. Without this practice, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget the progress you've made. The next time you feel stuck, take a moment to reflect on everything you've already accomplished. Look at the person you were before your reinvention and compare that with the person you are now. What has changed? What's different? How have you grown? More importantly, what have you learned about yourself? These reflections can give you a sense of pride and motivation to keep going, to push past the challenges and embrace the next stage of your personal growth. Along with reflection comes the process of setting new intentions. Life beyond reinvention is about creating new goals that align with your evolved self. The goals you set in the past might no longer resonate with who you are today. As you grow, your dreams, desires, and aspirations may shift, and that's okay. This doesn't mean you've failed or lost sight of your vision. It means you're expanding, and that's a beautiful thing. So ask yourself, what's next for you? What's the next step in your journey of growth and reinvention? It might be that you want to pursue a new career, build deeper connections with the people in your life, or take on new challenges that scare you a little bit. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to dream bigger, to aim higher, and to take bold steps forward. It's important to remember that reinvention isn't just about what you accomplish on the outside. It's about how you continue to evolve on the inside. Life beyond reinvention is about staying aligned with your values, your purpose, and your true self. It's about finding meaning in every step of the journey, no matter how small. The external accomplishments, while important, are simply a reflection of the internal work you've done to get there. At this stage, you've learned how to build resilience, how to embrace failure as a stepping stone, and how to remain focused on your goals. But don't forget that the real magic happens when you apply these lessons in the face of adversity. It's easy to stay committed when things are going well, but the true test of your reinvention comes when you encounter setbacks. And trust me, you will. The question is, will you use these setbacks as opportunities to grow, or will you let them pull you backward? The person you've become will determine how you respond to life's challenges, and your growth will continue as you navigate them with strength and grace. Life beyond reinvention also means staying connected to your community and the people who support you. Reinvention isn't something you do in isolation. The relationships you build with others, the networks you create, and the people you surround yourself with will continue to shape who you become. Stay intentional about the people you choose to have in your life. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, who challenge you to be better, and who inspire you to keep pushing forward. These relationships will keep you accountable, help you stay motivated, and remind you that you don't have to walk this path alone. So here's the bottom line. Life beyond reinvention is about continuing the work you've started. It's about looking back with gratitude, looking forward with excitement, and living fully in the present moment. You are not defined by one transformation or one version of yourself. You are a dynamic, evolving being, and your journey will continue to unfold in ways you can't even begin to predict. Keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep pushing toward your true potential. Life is waiting for you, and it's full of possibilities. Keep moving forward, because your journey is far from over, it's just beginning.